Thank you.
Greetings, everybody. Sean Patrick Greene, also known as Sean P. Greene, also known as Fudge. I am doing another podcast episode with a Buffalo person, and he's suspect. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, we have a special guest today who has been involved in many things among in entertainment, but we have composer, singer, songwriter Jason Pfaff. I got that right?
That's right.
How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good.
You bring your camera a little bit closer to you so people can see the lovely whiskers you got going on there. So, Jason Pfaff, how you doing, bud? What's new?
It's new. Well, I'm just recovering from a car accident, so
Oh yeah, so tell me about that. You were talking about that briefly.
I got T-boned by a 94-year-old driver in Boulder, Colorado, and flipped my vehicle 3 times.
Wow.
I was hanging onto the roof when it happened with my hand out the window, which was a bad idea.
Show the arm if you can.
And
Oh wow.
lost a couple fingers.
Did you really?
Had 9 surgeries. Mangled the hand, degloved the hand, broke the wrist. The wrist is pretty
Wow.
bad. This was in April, and I'm still doing therapy 5 times a day at home, so it's a big pain in the ass. And
So that happened in April.
yeah, so music is kind of weird right now. So I've been writing blogs and stand-up comedy instead of playing music because it's too sad to play music right now. It feels like riding a skateboard that has 3 wheels.
Hmm. I can understand that. I mean, I really can't relate to be honest with you, but man, uh, you just blew me away. Had no idea until you just told me right now
Yeah, and
that
then
this is what
there's
was going on.
then I got the PTSD to go with it, and a minor heart condition, anxiety. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a
A challenge.
obstacle, but I'm still kicking.
So tell me a little bit about who you are as far as well. We already established you compose music. You're a singer. You're a songwriter. You played several different instruments, piano, guitar.
Piano, keyboards, drums, and sing mostly.
Okay. And what did you compose for? What specific
I've been
companies or?
I've been writing music since I was 5, but I compose mostly instrumental, cinematic music, and I own my own business, so I license my music out, and that's how I make most of my living is through licensing for small businesses and multimedia artists around the world.
Around the world? So it's not just local or regionally.
No, it's I work with third-party licensing companies, so they take care of most of everything, and
Hmm.
I just send them the music. But to get to that point was a lot of work. I put in maybe a year or two of more than full-time work researching the licensing industry, um, and then of course composing a lot of songs. And you know, I was spending back then. I was spending 6 months to 2 years mixing 1 or 2 songs. I don't spend that much time anymore on individual songs, but I've got about 250 songs probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
So after a couple, first tries of establishing yourself as a singer, songwriter, composer, you kind of have the workflow down pat now, where you can produce a lot of different products.
Yeah, I started as a drummer in a rock band
Oh yeah. When
back
did
in the
you?
day, in the 90s.
Okay.
And
What
then
style of music was it?
we were indie rock. We were loud. I used to break drum heads and sticks and foot pedals at every show. And blood on the snare. I was a maniac back then.
Now, where was that? Here in Western New York?
Yeah, we were pretty big around Buffalo. We opened up for Ween at Jim Kelly's Network bar when that was open.
Huh.
It was like mid '90s.
So, what was your like inspiration as far as band wise or drummer even?
Well, my sister was a big inspiration. She died, but she was the bass player of Hole,
Yeah,
Courtney
really.
Courtney Love's band.
Oh wow,
So that was a big deal for me. I mean, we were really close. And she didn't pick up a bass guitar until she was 21. She was famous by the time she was 25.
wow.
But she was a classically trained pianist uh, early, before she picked up bass. Um, so yeah, I mean, my musical background is very diverse as far as influences, but I would say a few of the big ones would be Daniel Lanois, who is a musician and producer. He's produced every successful U2 record. He's produced Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson, Emmylou Harris, Neil Young, and he's Canadian. And the Flaming Lips are my favorite band, like rock band. And The Cure was a huge influence growing up. And then classical music like Beethoven and Chopin were really big to me.
So a lot of alternative rock, alternative music is what they would kind of labeled it back then. It was obviously it was alternative to something. And at that time, I think it was really the hair bands stood out, pop rock, if you will. Now I like to call it, but yeah. So alternative to the hair bands would have been the Cure, the Smiths, YouTube probably would fit in that realm as well.
Hmm.
So you are a fan of U2 at all?
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I kind of grew up with that. I mean, grew up South Buffalo. You had a lot of Irish descendants and Irish roots, so it was kind of like anthem music for us. As a matter of fact, every year we have the South Buffalo Irish Festival at Casanova,
Mm.
and I think they rotate bands every couple of years. But one band in particular from Canada is probably one of the top cover bands. That it's like, what do they call those kind of bands that imitate and they almost look like, stylistically and image wise the band itself that they're playing, but it's like that's all their songs that they play is U2 cover music. So,
Mm.
but Desire, that's the name of the band. But every couple years they come out and it feels like U2 is here. That they play that good.
Mm.
So, but yeah, I mean South Buffalo, like I said, Irish Heritage District. We had a lot of, you know, fan base here for U2 because
Hmm.
of it. I think. All right, um, so first you were a drummer, really, then, and you had some anger issues, maybe.
Yeah, when my sister died, yeah, that it's a good thing I had the outlet of music and drums to process all of that emotion. Um, but yeah, I was into a lot of hard, like back then, it started to get angrier when bands like Helmet came out
Hmm.
and Quicksand and Fugazi and the Midwest noise scene, they called it, which influenced the alternative scene.
Midwest noise. Give me a couple bands that fit under that. I don't think I heard of that term.
Hammerhead, they're from Minneapolis,
Okay.
or actually they're from Wisconsin, somewhere from Wisconsin. Uh, yeah, they were friends with my sister. So, and Helmet, we were friends with my sister. Helmet was the one that got signed to a big label, kind of sold out.
Hmm.
Uh,
A lot of people say that about Google Dolls too. Or
yeah,
had said that they became
yeah,
successful and they weren't as hardcore, so to
no,
speak, as they were when they made it big in LA.
yeah, they put a lot of time in, and I that was one of the first punk shows I went to. It was them and like Social Distortion, an underground show. And I liked them back then, but then Paul Westenberg, the Replacements, started writing all their music pretty much, or that's how they kind of really got big.
Hmm.
He was definitely involved with that
So the
process.
songwriting changed a little bit because of that, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. I mean, I'm not discrediting them or anything. I'm just
No,
saying
no.
that's a fact. So, um,
Have you ever been to their studio here in Buffalo?
Yeah, I've been.
The recording studio?
Yeah, I haven't spent much more than 5 minutes there,
Oh,
but
okay.
but
So you haven't used their facility yet?
no. I'm sure they have lots of nice stuff, but if I were to rent out a studio in town, I'd probably go to Audio Magic on Military.
Okay. I
I
don't think I've. I don't even know where a recording studio really is for professional musicians in town, other than GCR. That's what
Right.
Google Dolls or
Yeah, their studio and Audio Magic as well,
where's the
and
Audio Magic at? Is
it's
that
on
the one in Amherst?
Military and Grant area.
Grant. Okay.
S-
There's another
And then
guy. I
there's
forgot his
Select
name.
Sound on
I think
Elmwood,
that's the one I'm
which
talking
is
about.
another uh, big player, but I don't even know if they're still open, to be honest.
Hmm.
Most people are doing it in their houses these days.
Yeah.
Coach Jeremy Cochise Ball, hip hop producer. He lives in North Buffalo.
Hmm.
I've worked with him. He's produced a lot of local artists, mostly hip hop. He's worked with some big labels. He's done work for mixing and mastering work for Notorious B.I.G. and
What's his name again?
Lena Del Rey.
What's
Jeremy Cochise Ball. He goes by Cochise.
okay? Hmm.
Yeah. Um,
Have you worked with him at all, or
yeah. Because I produce hip hop too, kind of on the side.
okay?
Um,
Anybody that we would know, hip hop wise? Joe Public.
no, just I. Other than beats, I would license out on to artists I don't know.
Mhm.
I haven't worked with too many artists locally.
Interesting because I've worked in the Christian hip hop industry, I guess genre or whatever you want to call it, as a promoter mostly. And my brother was a producer as well, so he did a lot of beats and DJ and stuff like that for a lot of those artists. So, I mean, a secular side in Buffalo, not really attached to it, so I don't know everybody who's doing that. But what style of, what would you say, beat wise, what style did you would you say it fits in the hip hop genre? What kind of,
Well, I can tell you my influences are would be
sure,
like Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, Run DMC,
the whole Def Jam?
and then a lot of abstract kind of mid '90s trip hop and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a while since I've worked on a hip hop track. Uh,
What do you favor? I mean, do you like hip hop as a genre, or
yeah, I mean,
still listen to music?
I don't like a lot of what I hear today on the radio. I think it's pretty funny where we've gone, kind of like musical literacy wise. If you look at like from Bach to "It's getting hot in here," so I take off
Little
my.
Nelly.
I love the song, but it is
I mean, it's catchy. It made
it's
money,
yeah, but
but
if the
content wise, it's kind of lacking passion. I think maybe, or
lacking
maybe it's too much
musical
passion.
literacy, I would say. But yeah, I mean, I just released my debut fully produced album with vocals because I hadn't sung a lot in the past.
That's the one on your website.
Yeah, it's called Spaceship Blues.
Was looking at that earlier, so
Um,
I love this website. How it's animated too. Just checking
yeah,
that out.
yeah, I put a lot of work into my website.
Is that so?
It's
Is
not
that
a great
your
website, but
is that your design?
actually, an ex girlfriend of mine, I gave her the vision of how I wanted the album cover to look, and she drew that for me. So I'm pretty happy with the results.
So fafmusic.net. That's what we're looking at. Fafmusic.net. And this is the new album, Spaceship Blues. I'm gonna have to listen to it. I haven't get see. We did have this scheduled somewhat yesterday that didn't actually work out, and then we had a schedule for today, and we bumped it up a little earlier. So I wasn't prepared like I should be on your work, but I'm going to be listening to this afterwards. I want to check it out. But
Cool.
what's the style? What would you say the style for this album is?
Well, there's a local artist named Scantron who recently moved to Atlanta, and he's going to be reviewing this album for me any day now. And I don't know what he'll say, but I this is what I've heard so far. I've heard that it is reminiscent of artists like Nick Cave, Leonard Cohen, Tom Waits,
Hmm. Wow.
U2, and
So it's
David
very
Bowie.
melodic then. Would you say?
Yeah, yeah. There's only 5 songs on the physical CD version, and they're all very different from each other. But yeah, most of my music's melodic.
I'm gonna listen to that for sure. All right. So, as far as music wise, how many like your discography? What? How many are we looking at in your total? You know,
As far
archives.
uh, album wise, probably 10, but there's only 5 on my Bandcamp disc- discography because I wanted to keep it consistent, and so I didn't include the albums from the 90s. I went through a spiritual transformation at the turn of the new millennium, 2000 ish, and my ear was attuned, I guess they would call it, and I changed a lot. So I considered all the works before that to be almost like a different person. I still own them, and we'll try to make them available for sale in some capacity. But as of the artist name Jason Pfaff, there's only 5 albums, and those are all albums that I started working on after the spiritual transformation. So
So describe that to me, because I'm always interested in people's journeys spiritually, especially. Most people that know me already know where I'm at, but just curious as to what journey that you're on and what exactly have you found at the turn of the century, turn of the millennium, in relation to spirituality.
well, I was partying a bit too much in the 90s, so I ended up cleaning up my act quite a bit. And so that was a big part of what I was doing when I was 25 years old. And then after a few years of vigorously working towards what you might want to call sobriety, but that's arguable. That's a whole subject that I could talk for hours and hours on, and
Well,
how,
the next time you have more time to do that, we'll.
yeah, the recovery industry is like
Yeah.
really screwed up, and I could talk for hours. But personally, I did a lot of work on myself for a bunch of years, and I was raised Christian and everything, but I got um, uh, I had an open mind and kind of delved into some Buddhist stuff and meditation and yoga, and tools like that really have helped me out. I was staying in monasteries. I was meditating in creeks for 6 hours. I did a 10-day silent meditation in Colorado. That was hardcore. So yeah, spirituality really interplayed into my life. But it's not like my music is necessarily spiritual. It's not like I'm singing about shepherds and yoga. I'm I still
What's your message in your music typically? Or let's just say, top three different messages. What would you say you're
uh,
trying to convey?
if you just look at the vocal material as far as a message, then there's not any intentional message. Like there's on the EP, there's what you might call a love song or a breakup song. Then there's the existential kind of journey, and then there's a more angry kind of saw, like reflecting on where society's at and overuse of cell phones and selfies. And then there's a song that the lyrics are just like ah, so no message there.
So it's just noise for the most part on some tracks.
Yeah,
Is it
so
just like it's basically whatever's on the inside trying to get out type of thing?
yeah, I try to keep it as authentic as I can, but
Okay.
I have so many sides to me. I mean, in so many little ditties of recordings. Like I'll record into my phone just little ditties that I just came up with yesterday that it's totally obnoxious. So I save like everything that comes through to me, and then so I have like 6 terabyte drives full of work. You know, whether they're
Hmm.
photos or videos or song clips or film script ideas or business ideas or little drumming clips I've done or drum loops. Like I really want to get organized this year, and digital clutter is like not peaceful. So it's like I can clean my room and make it so there's no clutter physically, but it still agonizes me that I have all these computer drives full of work that isn't necessarily organized. And sometimes I just want to burn the, the hard drives and just start fresh. And but my ego won't let that happen. My ego or intellect, whatever, is going to say there's a lot of work there. Save it for when the time is right. It might be able to be utilized in some way. So
I feel the same way because I was more videographer, photographer. I mean, I played drums a little bit. I never owned a drum set until a couple weeks ago. As a matter of fact, this is my very first time I owned one, and I bought this used. So that shows you. But I've been playing drums with other people's, wherever they're at, mostly for church lately. But I just decided, you know what? I'm just tired because I have the itch to do it, and I can't just wait for something to come up. I want to play drums.
it's cool.
But really, my passion was just having a video camera with me, just documenting everything I possibly can, kind of like
Hmm.
get what my experience was and then archive it. And I have like tons of VHS tapes upstairs that I finally started going through little by little, and I still got so much to go. But it's like I'm starting to fill up the hard drives with that content, starting to post produce some film projects. Matter of fact, that one film project I made with you in it while we were waiting. You ever see that yet?
While we were waiting,
You haven't seen it yet?
no.
Remember when we were sitting there in the waiting room for the Chris Olin Ray or Chris
Oh,
that film?
that's where I met you.
Yeah.
I forgot. I totally thought you just randomly saw my stand up comedy on my Facebook and were like, I got to get this guy on my show. I hadn't,
Nope.
sorry.
I never seen your show.
I totally,
That's okay.
totally zoned out on that. That's funny.
I listen. I've been confused with other people. Um, I think the most complimentary one was some black rapper, Christian rapper from New York City was visiting here. Looked at me, I had a full beard, and he came up to me and says, "You know what? I thought you were Zach Galifianakis." He said, "I thought you were that Hangover guy." I was like, I got that a lot when I had the full beard. But I told him, listen, not all white people look alike.
Right.
As a joke, of course. But that's the only time I've been confused with anybody that's significant. Maybe I just blended in too much. It's my fault. But yes, that was the time that we actually worked together, quote unquote. And so that was our little project, sitting there waiting for our turn to be in the background of this Chris Olin Ray project. And I just had the,
Then it turned in, that's actually on Netflix. They changed the title. It's called
yeah,
Mur-
Staged Killer.
Stage Killer. It's a pretty,
Originally, it was called
or a horrible name.
what?
Stupid title, but
Yeah, well, they do that on purpose. That's so that I mean, I see that all the time. People will have a film title. They'll change the name of the film so that it can be like hidden and
right.
secret and nothing's given away or whatever. Even though the title is almost similar, really, but they just try to make sure that nobody can figure out where they're going with it until it's released, that kind of thing. So that's the idea.
Uh,
Um,
I'm gonna be an extra. I'm waiting for confirmation, but a recent one, shooting in December. Um, I'm supposed to be in a scene where there's hostages in a hospital.
Nice.
Um, so I'm gonna bring my laptop because there's so much downtime. I could write a screenplay and then all the downtime there.
Let's do it, man. I'm in school, but I just finished my semester, so I got some time from now until then. We got to do something, man. We got to put our minds together, or, I mean, I don't know if you collaborate a whole lot.
I like to. I mean, I think collaboration is the future versus the solo guy, which I've been mostly working in my studio alone. It's a very lonely, insane process that,
It can be as you produce anything. It could be film, music, photos, posters, advertising. If you're not in human contact, I mean, maybe that's why the millennials probably will transition very well into this, is because they're on their phones and they're not really talking face to face with as many people. And I'm not putting millennials down, but they might transition into just productive alone. And you see a lot of them on YouTube with, the vlogs and their own podcasts, their own little mini shows, because it seems like they work well by themselves. But I think in our generation, yours and mine, we we had a little bit more human contact
yes,
than
we
most
went
people.
outside.
Yeah, not only did we shovel the snow, we actually went to Chestnut Ridge, which is it's a state park or a county park.
Yes, good sledding there.
Went sledding, had took our little inner tubes, went downhill. I mean, we had a good time doing outdoor stuff
Yeah,
before
don't
the internet.
don't get me started on the apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the process of putting things together, but I also like the process of developing it before. The shooting, the editing, the talking with each other to put a good, story together.
Hmm.
Um, Working with actors, that kind of stuff. Working with writers, developing the stories to me is a lot more um, enjoyable than just doing everything by yourself and staying home all day. I mean, I could do that, but I feel like I'm not really working together with my fellow man,
Right.
humankind. Sorry,
Yes, we
we
need to balance out. We need to hang out with people.
yep. That's kind of the concept of why I'm doing this show here. Is I think there's a lot of interesting people in Western New York, and I want to connect with them more and more. So I like to have more people on as time progresses, and people like yourself. I mean, like I said, I seen what you've done. Somewhat. I knew what you did somewhat,
I didn't do it.
and I'm holding you to it. And I wanted to know more about it. I want to get deeper into who you were. And again, man, I'm really sorry. I missed the whole incident. Now, was that? Go ahead. Go ahead. You could jam.
That's a great bass. Does that come through?
Yeah,
I like it.
we're making music already. I used to use pots and pans when I was a kid because I'd never owned a drum set. My parents never bought one. We had a stand up piano,
Hmm.
and I tried playing piano for a season, and I was not musically literate. Let's just put it that way. I couldn't understand it. It was almost like reading notes for piano music was almost like being dyslexic. I couldn't focus on it. I couldn't master keys, chords, none of that stuff. It was very difficult for me. I wasn't wired that way. I was, you know, similar, like I had some anger issues, so I couldn't really focus on delicate, you know, eloquent music styles. I was, you know, I wanted to hit those pots and pans as a kid. I had nothing else to do.
Hmm.
So played football. That was my other outlet. Other than that, I was playing the dummy most of the time. It's a little easier that way. It was bliss.
Sure.
So what else don't we know about you that we haven't I haven't even discovered yet?
I'm a shepherd.
You're a shepherd?
No, that's from Fletch.
Oh,
I
okay.
am a I write a little bit, so I'm working because of the car accident, and I can't really get excited about playing music. At least I got a couple more surgeries coming up, but so I'm working on stand-up comedy right now. I've done two sets. Well, I've only done one official set in Florida, and then I did an open mic in Colorado, and I killed it in Florida, and I bombed in Colorado, and I learned a lot from those two experiences.
So what was the takeaways from that experience?
Well, stand up is the hardest art I've ever done, for sure, by far. Um,
You got to read the room.
you're up there with all these people, and it's so vulnerable because you're by yourself. If if you're in a band, it's different. You got other people around you, and you're about to blast music to the audience and drown them out. When you're a stand up, you can hear every nuance in the room, and it's
Every cough.
if you don't get a laugh, your ego just as an amateur, your ego is like demolished. I couldn't get through the set in Colorado that I was bombing in. Every time I didn't get a laugh, I was just more freaked out, and I think I only got 2 minutes in before I walked off, and I was like, "You're not laughing, okay, bye," and I walked off. But you need to do, if you're going to be successful. Obviously, you need to face rejection and do a ton of open mics and get used to the not getting laughs. The other thing is I was younger then, and now that I'm going to be 45, I don't give a crap about being famous or anything. So I think that'll give me an edge when I go back to the stage. And I'm going to experiment with different personalities and angles and sides of myself at the open mics because I don't want to be too conformed. I don't want to be like all the other comics, but I do want to have my own voice and be consistent so I have my own style. But it's really challenging. And I set a goal for myself to start doing open mics probably the new by New Year's. I'm writing now. I spend about an hour a day writing and organizing comedy writing I've done over the last 15 years. I've saved every note, every idea. That would be my advice to anyone in any art is to write down or save all your ideas, whether it's music, film, concepts, comedy. Keep it saved, and you never know when you might use it. Because I never knew I'd be more focused on comedy. I never knew I'd get in a car accident and maybe not play the piano like I used to be able to. So now I can go back to all these old comedy notes that I've had filed away. And there's some, I mean, there's some interesting stuff I'm finding in there. And, you know,
That's one thing I was taught also as a kid is to write everything down, no matter what, how stupid, weird, or awkward it might seem. And usually you'll use that something from it, if not getting the photographic memory of writing it down in your subconscious, so you still can recall something about it. The very least. but I was taught to always write stuff down because you never know when you're going to need it. You'll never know if that's going to be your, bread and butter someday, So
Sure.
I'm completely down with writing stuff down now. At least I type it in. I don't physically handwrite stuff, but I got so many digital notes of stuff, things, thoughts, and ideas. Sometimes it's so much of a big thing in my brain, I'll make a little blog out of it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I just kind of piece it all together, all these thoughts, and organize it, put it in a blog, and I'm done. So podcasts are similar to that, where we might have a thought, let's just talk about it, talk it out, and experience, you know, um, the process of analyzing it a little bit before completing the thought. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yep.
totally.
So I'm down with that. I want to get back to real quick. Would you say that you're on a path that's Buddhist right now
No, I'm on
or
a
similar?
multi-dimensional path that is a blend of Christianity and Buddhism and just non-judgmentalness. Just it's more it's more of like it has nothing to do with religion. It's more just I guess spiritual. It doesn't mean I'm into like I'm a new age freak or anything because I keep an open mind. I don't think it's intelligent to come to conclusions about anything. It's like how could anyone know what's really there? And I mean, I respect people of all faiths, basically. So I think even atheists uh, should be respected and judged by their character. Um, but I have friends that are of all different faiths, except I don't think I know any Islamists.
I have a few acquaintances that are Muslims, in and around Western New York, there various places. So I'm very, very much in tune with understanding, learning to understand more and more about other people's perspective. I mean, we grew up partially Catholic down here in South Buffalo because of the, the Irish heritage again. Also Polish, German, and there's a little bit of Catholic, a little bit of Lutheran. There's a little bit of hodgepodge of everything. But um, so there, Our Lady of Victory is down the road in Lackawanna, so that's like the staple of the southern part of the area as
Hmm.
far as monuments or whatever. And so Catholicism had a huge presence. I wasn't necessarily uh, Catholic, but my mother's side of the family, they had those roots being from Quebec, Canada. Some of them still practice Catholicism. I personally kind of fell into more Protestantism, um, but I still didn't understand a lot. I was a kid, and this is what they train you to be like and all that. And I'm like, okay, I follow along with the program, so to speak, but I still had a curiosity inside of me, and some things happened as a kid that just lost my interest in Christianity as a whole, and I took a path myself. When I went to the service, early '90s, I was in Southern California, and I mean, New York State's pretty liberal, but California is super liberal, and everything was permissible. It seemed out there, so I was curious and you know kind of dabbled in a little bit of Buddhism myself. Curious about different ways of thinking, and I wouldn't say Marxism was something I was curious about, like politically speaking, but spiritually speaking, I was curious. So I did explore world religions. And a good thing about what the service did was, the Navy had 6 month tours overseas. So we got to go to Asia, Southeast Asia, Southwest Asia, Middle East, and got to experience all these different world religions, really the predominant ones. Buddhism, um, Taoism, and I really don't know if they practice anything other than Catholicism in Australia. Um, but Middle East, of course. So I got to see these big open air mosques in United Arab Emirates. Just an amazing um, world to kind of learn about as a young kid. So, but long story short, I returned to being more curious about Christ. So I follows, you know, I go in that direction now. I'm a follower of Christ.
Christ is cool.
Yeah, Christ is cool. He's a cool dude. I mean, a lot of other religions, you know, not only follow him but also admire him.
Can
So
I do a little beatboxing for Christ?
absolutely
That's all.
beautiful. I can see why you're a composer.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that your time might be up a couple
Yeah, I
minutes
gotta
here, right?
bounce in a few minutes.
So what I'm going to do though, I want to show a little bit of that clip if I could find it. We're going to really destroy this. This is the little
The
movie.
sun's in the sky. Look at that.
It's beautiful out there. This was I think during October, September last year.
Feature film.
We were
Shot for the what's the name of that channel? Lifetime. Lifetime channel, but
Staged
went to
Killer.
Netflix.
Oh no, this is Staged Killer.
Right.
This one is Netflix. Yep. So Chris Olin Ray. The idea was just to everybody's sitting there just doing nothing. We're all bored. I'm buffering here, and I'm like, I got an idea. Let me just film you guys, and then we'll just come up with something creative. And
I don't think I was in it though.
yeah, oh yeah, you were in it. I called you Jaws. That was your name for the credits
Hmm.
because you had some like glowing, little glowing thing in your mouth.
Uh,
I'm gonna get to it real quick. You're in the background there in the corner, trying to be calm and quiet, and I put there you go. There's
sure, I'm not asleep.
so there you are in this little corner spot here. Basically, the guy's playing a crafty. He's the one that's delivering us the food to feed us, and then you and the other girls are all saying, where's the chicken? Like you want more than just snacks. You want chicken. The one lady next to you is like, I want a grilled salmon. I'm gonna send you the link. You can watch it later.
Sure.
But I'll put this link in the description or whatever comments
Cool.
on the Facebook and the YouTube.
Yeah, I'll show my mom.
Yeah, you should be proud of this. I mean, this is like a real big moment for you. That's the grilled salmon lady. So, anyways, you had like a mouth glowing. What was that, anyways?
I got it at yeah, a little novelty thing you put in your mouth and makes your teeth look like they're like lights flickering lights in your mouth,
Is that
something
like
you
a
don't
Dollar
see
Tree?
every day.
Have you were? Is that like a Dollar Tree thing?
I got it at a campsite.
This was called While We Were Waiting, 2018. You'll see it on IMDb. So it's on all the credits, I think. So she wants grilled salmon. Anyways, none of us in this room had a name in the show, in the movie,
What-
film, or whatever the
Did they
TV
give
show.
us IMDb credits or no?
I don't think so. I think some people just added. I don't
Out of
even know.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were just sitting around doing nothing, and we just wanted to put something together. And the audio was terrible because it was all from the cell phone that I was filming from. It was not a real camera,
iPhone or Android?
Android.
I was gonna get an iPhone this year, but I'm gonna hold off till next
There
year
it
because I
is.
heard they have 3D
There's your glowing teeth.
3D cameras next year.
So, anyways, I just wanted to show that little clip. I thought that was fun. And I know we got a limited time. I don't know what you're planning on going. Wish we had more time with you, but I'm glad that you came. We're gonna have you back. We're gonna do this again with you because I feel there's a lot more for you to talk about.
Oh, sure.
And all this was just like a surface conversation,
Surface, yeah.
and you basically trying to figure out who I was first. Now that we've established that, now you know who to avoid wherever you go. I'm just kidding. Hopefully that's not what the case is. We're gonna collaborate. We're gonna do something, man. We're gonna have to, I mean, music is a big part of film, and you never know. I'm gonna listen to it, man. I want to find out what kind of style it is. Um, Hosting a film festival, you never know who needs music.
Yeah, send them my way.
Yep,
I got lots of music.
I've hooked up a lot of people that wrote music, original music, with connections with filmmakers in the last couple years. So
Oh, cool.
it's not an unusual thing for me to do that. So if anything, I'm more like a conduit of talent. So
Hmm.
whatever, and a networker, whatever there's a need somewhere, I try to put it all together and help other people out. On top of my own projects too. That's another thing. I'm gonna definitely need you for something I'm gonna do. I got 5 or 6 film scripts that I have to write and complete still, plus a TV series. So you know,
The burdens we put on our backs. 5 movies, TV and a series,
it's
three
gonna
three
happen.
books.
Nah, I'm not a book writer, so that's not gonna happen. Maybe a screenplay or two, but I will collaborate with screenwriters. I'll give a general idea of what I want, but generally I like to let writers write, let actors act, and let producers produce.
Good.
So that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense.
How you feeling, anyways? Med wise, you have to load up, or you still got to load up
I don't know if
meds.
I
Like,
feel comfortable with that particular
so
subject
how many drugs are you taking?
on podcast.
I'm taking. I have some fibromyalgia issues. I got some, arthritis. Like
Okay, folks, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
I'm an old man, so I'm gonna be 50 in a year and a half.
You look 14.
I know. I do. I look great. So I'm trying to stay away from the wacky drugs as much as possible,
Yeah, you want
and
to do
just
some peyote right now?
peyote was one of those drugs I did want to take when I was a kid. I only took all the street rat poison acid on the beaches of California, and amongst other things I don't want to mention. But yeah, that was one of the things I always wanted to try before I left the West Coast, is a little bit of that. So I want to, next time you come on, I want to talk about Colorado a little bit, because it seems like you have some strong ties to it. And you said Florida, somewhere in
Well, I
South.
lived in Florida for 6 months, but
Okay. What
that's
what what
that's where I did stand up for the first time.
what area?
I lived in West Palm. It's a
Oh,
nightmare.
okay. I was on the other coast in Tampa Bay.
Hmm.
12 years I was down there. So,
Wow.
well, Jason, listen, I want to rush you, but you're rushing yourself, I think, to get out.
I got to work. I got to get some work done.
I got you, but I appreciate you coming out, man. I wanted to do this for a while now. We only have 48 minutes with you, and it's sad to see you go now, but um, we'll schedule this again. You got some time. Let's sit down maybe in a couple weeks, come up with some plans for some projects together.
Sure.
I think that'd be fun.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, Jason. God bless you, man. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Once again, this is the Shawn P. Greene Show. And I promise I'm going to lose a little bit of weight while Christmas time's coming through. But I appreciate you guys listening, tuning in. Shawn P. Greene Show. I'm also on the, see if I got my banner up here. 9 banners. Okay. There it is. Shawn P. Greene Show. There it is. It's on the WordPress site, ShawnPGreen.wordpress.com /podcasts. You'll see some of these shows, all the shows I do here for this particular format loaded up there, video wise, and we might have some audio formats later. But just keep it locked here. We got more podcasts to go, more people to talk to. There's so many interesting people in Western New York, and if you want to be up on the show, hit me up. Come to my Facebook page and contact me ASAP. All right, keep it locked.